Okay, let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Bodi. I'm Regional Manager at OpenSpace, and I will be your host and moderator today. We're diving into a crucial topic of our industry, the construction industry, the golden thread. This means recording asset information throughout the building's life cycle to meet the required regulation. Our session today is titled Connecting the Dots, Weaving the Golden Thread from Construction into Operations. And what we will explore, how 360 reality capture tools like OpenSpace can ensure accurate as-built documentation during the construction phase, and also how Activeplan integrates various information streams to support the transitions into operations. Joining us today are John Curry from JJ Rhatigan and George Stevenson from Activeplan. They will share their experience and insights on this topic. John, George, welcome. Thank you for joining. Could you guys introduce yourself, please? Tell us a bit about your roles and the work you're doing.
Hi, thanks, Tomas. My name is John Curry. I'm a digital construction manager for JJ Rhatigans, who are a Tier 1 contractor working in the Republic of Ireland mainly, but we do also have offices in London. Yeah, that's basically it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so George Stevenson, I wear a couple of hats. I'm the managing director of Activeplan, and we provide software platforms for companies like Rhatigans to validate and federate all of the files that they get from designers and contractors and models. But we also have clients who are FMs, a lot of clients who are FMs who are using the platform to integrate asset information and coordinate it with their other asset systems and CAFM systems. But most of my time I spend doing pro bono work in the industry to try and improve a lot of processes, and that's informing what we've done here today as far as the Golden Thread is concerned. I chaired the Golden Thread Initiative Asset and Survey Information Group. Also, I chair BIM for Housing, and we've just started BIM in Asset Management, which is very apposite for this purpose. And we've got over 2,000 collaborators who, or all volunteers, who are working towards that process. So that's really where I am.
Great, thank you, George. So what's happening now? We recorded our discussion a few days ago just to avoid any technical issues. So what we will do, we will play that discussion. 3 of us will stay online, we stay on the background. And at the end, in around 35 minutes, 37 minutes, we come back online and open up for a Q&A, question and answers. What I'm asking the participants, guys, if you have any questions, please put that into the QA box. We will monitor these and address those. If you want to put that into the chat box. I see a few hands raised now. I don't want to address those now, but we can open up at the end. As I said, if you have any questions, please put that into the chat box. We play the discussion and then come back live and talk to you after that. So see you soon, and let's get started. Really, I would like to start with the challenge, a step back and really understanding what really makes it so difficult to capture the correct and required information, and also collect it in a way that integrates those data sources and make them accessible for everyone. And John, perhaps you could start, and then George, I would be very interested to hear your thoughts as well.
Yes, thanks, Tomas. Yeah, from a building contractor's point of view, we face lots of challenges with I suppose we have requirements to hand over a lot of information at the end of a project to a client. That could be O&Ms, safety file, as-built models, as-built drawings, like the list goes on. Usually be all sorts of different data sources that we would hand over at the end. We also have some challenges throughout the project of record keeping. Now, we do our own QA checks where our engineers would take pictures, upload that to our platforms, CDEs and all that. But it's a bit challenging fishing through this information when you want to find a particular image on a particular date of what may have been constructed.
George, anything from you? What's your thought on that?
Yes. What I thought, I've got a slide here that sort of explains it. One of the problems, I think, is that people get dozens of models handed over, thousands of CAD drawings and schedules. They obviously get COBie data, but only for the models or the assets that are modeled. And the majority of the information that they get is delivered as PDFs in safety files and O&Ms, which they've got to manually check and interpret. 360 photos have sort of revolutionized the old as-built records, but they're not connected to the asset data or the documents. So that's part of the challenge that we've got. So part of the difficulty is that people are doing things very much manually, and it's very easy to miss things. So part of the way in which we're trying to address that is to bring things together so that the information can be integrated and federated so that people have got everything connected.
Yes, and we will cover that. We will really cover how Activeplan can play here. Just a quick question before we move on. Are the requirements really clear? Is that clear for everyone what actually needs to be delivered as part of the golden thread?
I think that's a really good point. That often contractors get blamed for not delivering what was needed, and they maybe even get money withheld. But FMs are often equally to blame because they don't really provide. They often don't provide clear information requirements or even engage in checking until it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's really where I think Rhatigans are particularly switched on, in that they've been actively working with clients to actually define what's needed so that it's clear, and then use that to validate that information so that they can integrate the information that's being captured in Revit or BIM 360 or SharePoint, and now in OpenSpace.
Mm-hmm. John, how do you see that? I talked with contractors in the past, and I definitely saw a bit of lack of clarity or a bit misunderstanding what actually they need to produce and when. So
yes,
that's
that's
very clear
definitely
for you guys.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. In a lot of instances, we would get very vague requirements for an asset-rich BIM model to be handed over at the end, but it mightn't be saying much more than that. So it is definitely something that we work with clients to try and pinpoint the exact data and what kind of data is going to be beneficial to the end user at the end. And we've been dealing with Activeplan now for quite a bit of time, where we've come up with a system of how to grade different assets and what the level of information that would be beneficial to the end user.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I was just going to put I was just building on what John was saying there. Part of the way in which we're doing that, we're looking at things from the point of view of satisfying the golden thread, and part of that is to look at what information is needed at each gateway. So with the golden thread is the legislation is largely UK based, but it's just common sense, and that's really what we're working on. So we start with the information requirements at the beginning, which are in a machine-readable format, and then what John and his team have been doing is then checking the models to make sure all the spaces are properly defined, first containers for things to go into, then doing the same with the asset types. So when we get to work stage 4, which is where the details starting to come in, then being able to check that the right asset information is being collected there. And then that's when there's a product library which can then add the information and the assets and the documents. So progressively that information is being gathered. And now we're adding OpenSpace into that as well. So the 360s are then validating that information. So that's really what John was just referring to.
Thanks, George. And actually, it's a nice overview and makes things quite clear. So yeah, if someone has some questions about that, that explains. Thank you for this, guys. Now I would like to really talk a little bit about reality capture, and you showed on your chart 360 captures, because reality capture is really a critical element of Golden Thread. That is what ensures that on showcases that what has been built and when. And JJ Rhatigan is a big OpenSpace user. You guys have been using OpenSpace for a long time. You actually were one of the earliest adopters in this region. So I would be just wondering if you could tell me a little bit about the reasons why you decided to start using reality capture. Please.
Yes, well, as I mentioned earlier, with some of the issues in the industry, we started using reality capture to really get a good record of everything that was happening on site throughout the whole lifestyle of the project. There's various benefits to this. For when things get closed up, you can look at very easily without having to remove a panel. You could take a look at what has been there. Now we do our QA checks on that, but it is very quick and easy to check it on reality capture. It has been used for health and safety purposes, for QA purposes, and it's a very handy tool at the end to even verify the as-built model compared to the reality captures. I'll put up my screen for a moment just to show you.
Yeah, if you could share something, that would be amazing.
Yeah, so this is one of our projects in the Dublin region, and this is OpenSpace. You open it up, you have this is just in the stairway at the moment, but I have a plan view here where it shows the kind of route. Just go to a different floor. So it showed the kind of route that the engineer who has took this reality capture. And just for everyone's benefit, the reality capture is done with a camera on top of the hard hat. He walks the route, and it takes pictures every couple of seconds, and then you can map the route out after. So if I just, let's say, selected any point in this floor plan, that will directly bring me to that location. And you can move around and take a look at all that has been constructed on that date. All these blue lines is kind of the path, and you can click on any point on that path. Another thing you can do on OpenSpace too is you can compare captures to previous captures. If I go for a split view here, and I bring up the dates here, you can see all the blues are basically dates that the captures were taken. We tend to, for every project we use it on, we use it on all projects, we tend to do a capture at least once a week. Sometimes we may do it twice a week, depending on the requirements of the project. So if I went back, let's say, to something like January 2024, you can lock this screen, so you can kind of see things are very much under construction at that stage, and you can kind of see the ceilings are not there, or obviously hadn't been fitted yet. See, plasterboard hasn't been fitted, and we can take a look at what is above those ceilings. So you can kind of see that grill there, and it's there on the capture. So it's very useful for those kind of things, comparing two different point in times on a construction project. One other thing you can do with OpenSpace then as well is you can link in your BIM models to it. So there's also a split view for the BIM model. And a side-by-side comparison. So when we, at the end of our project, also, sorry, for two reasons. During the construction of a project, we notice any differences on site comparison to the BIM model. Maybe something has been installed incorrectly, and we can get that rectified on site. Another reason we would use it then is at the end, when we were comparing it to our as-built models for handing over to the client and put it up on the Activeplan system, which we will discuss a bit later. But we can see that side-by-side capture, and you can compare every item like for like. Sorry, it hasn't loaded properly there, but yeah. Okay, I think it's going to cover.
I mean, it's very interesting, John. Thanks for sharing. And I know it's widely used in the organization. Who is using that? So what departments are actually using OpenSpace?
Yeah, so it's used by a lot of our departments. Our quantity surveyors are using it a lot because they can very quickly check what was constructed on a particular date before they're closing accounts with the various contractors. Our senior management, who our head office is based in Galway, so they can open up this and take a look at a project in Blanchardstown project, for instance, in Dublin, in the space of 2 minutes, they'll be looking at what has happened on site that week. QA, even health and safety. There was issues about one guy once put a claim in that there was the site was a bit unsafe with mess, but we were able to go in an open space and take a look, and so proved that he was not telling the truth, basically.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of use cases and a lot of benefits already. So I guess it was not very difficult to sell this to your management or to decision makers to roll this out across.
I guess when we started using it, there was a bit of a slight a slow uptake on site initially, but once management got seen the benefit of it, it was pushed very hard, and now it's a very regular task that every project does a capture at least once a week. So the benefits is seen as huge by our management team.
Yeah, no, that's great. And before just move to the next topic and discussing Activeplan, I just want to understand actually the adoption rate here. You mentioned that your guys using that once every week or maybe more frequently. I mean, how easy was it to sort of learn, or how easily adopted the company this technology?
Yes, it was very easy to roll out. We did initial kickoff trainings that from my department, so the digital construction department, with the site teams who would be completing the captures. So it was literally just a rundown on how to link the camera to our iPad or tablet, and just pick the point on the map and basically do the walk and then complete it and upload it. So there was very, very few steps to actually get this capture completed. We also did training with the general team on how you just go in and navigate around the model, or the image, I should say. But yeah, it was very quick for everyone to understand it, and we didn't really get too much people ringing us up with issues, because it was very easy to navigate around and understand. So.
Yeah, thank you. The reason I was asking, because what sets OpenSpace apart is simplicity and ease of use. And we know that, if a tool is simple and easy to use, that drives adoption. And I guess, when we talk about the next topic, that will be a similar, scheme or situation here. So I know you guys working with Activeplan and connect different data sources. Do you want to just explain me how you came across with Activeplan, how you implemented them in the project, and if you can show us how it looks in a practice?
That's fine. So I guess I'll start with two parts to this. My colleagues in the West had previously worked with Activeplan on a schools project. How I personally got involved with Activeplan was we, as in JJ Rhatigan, were working on a joint venture, PPP project with Sodexo, who's the FM team, to deliver a bundle of higher education buildings. So we were working on a higher education bundle with Sodexo, who defined the requirements on what was needed to be handed over. On the project, we would have to hand over an as-built model, O&Ms, safety file, and COBie data, and various different sources like that. But Activeplan's platform allows us to upload all of this information in one area, and it's a database that can be given access to our client and our FM team to use through the course of the past service commencement. Do you want me to do a bit of a demo on how the platform works?
Yeah, if you can.
So this is the same project here, TUD Blanchardstown. So when you go into the project first, you're kind of going to see a home page here with some information about the project and an image. There's different areas here. There's floors, spaces, and documents and models. And down on the side here, you have categories, types, components, and so forth. I think to start off with, I'll just show you how it was done for the models part. I'll just go to the viewer here. This is still not fully complete, but it's 90% there.
So this is integrating with Autodesk BIM 360. So this is an API connection that we operate from within Activeplan.
That's fine. Okay. Okay, so we have the federated model here now in front of us. That contains the architect's models, structural models, the M&E contractor's models, and any other models that was required. If I just zoom in here, you can see all the different components. I'll just click on an AHU here, for example. And it brings up some of the component information here, which has like tag numbers, barcodes, asset identifiers, the installation and warranty start dates. I've actually that's pending to be inputted into the platform before handover. There's also some type information here. So if I click on this hyperlink, it'll bring me to the Activeplan product, sorry, the type information, which is linked to the product library. Just a bit of a narrative on the product library. It is a database. Basically, there is one complete database on the Activeplan platform, and all the various contractors or our supply chain would feed into this by creating products on it. These products can be recycled for future projects. So in other words, we create this AHU unit, it's up on their database, then we pick what projects to apply that to. So it isn't something that needs to be continuously repeated over and over again, because this information is relevant to that type of AHU. So this has brought me to the product library. You can kind of see some of the type information here. Expected life of 30 years. The categories air handling units. You have model numbers, model references. You have just a bit of a description here. Then there's attributes, which is kind of custom fields that we added in. You can see X's here for things that wasn't required based on the importance of the asset. But what is an important key here to bring away is the Sodexo asset code. So this is like a universal code that Sodexo will use to search for information about a device. So in other words, each one of these AHUs on every single project will have this code HVAC 11. So it means that it's Sodexo can search for that code on a project and the node will find it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Sorry, just a couple of other things on that. So I can go to the plan view here. And that will show me the location on the project that AHU is in. Just to note as well, if there was, obviously there's only one of that particular AHU on the project, but if I had to say selected a light, for instance, you would see multiple instances across the whole floor plan of every location where that light is. To see actually for an example, I might just click it here. So if I go to that light, you can see that there's some on the ground floor. It will bring you to the lowest floor of where there is an item of that device. You can see them all on that floor. And on the roof, there's multiple instances. I just go back to the AHU for a second. There was something I wanted to show. Sorry, just the document section as well, where we will have links directly to our safety file and O&M documents that is also built on the platform. But there will be a direct link to these through the model and database. So if I clicked on that, it brings me to basically a certificate.
I guess that's what we're seeing here. How you started, maybe George, you described, combining all these different sources into one location, isn't it? Making it easy to use and simple.
There's various different ways of searching for the information too, so it is really easy for the end user. Like I went through the model route there to find the information I was looking for, but you can also go through a plan view. So you can kind of see by hovering over this is an interactive plan. So if I select that, that's bringing me to that space. I can also go up to the space components, and that will list out every single asset that is in that space. I could access that area from here too and go to the floors, go to level R1. I could pick out a space here. And again, I can get all the components that's in that space from here. There's also searchable here on the left where they have categories. You can search by type, you can search by the component or the system. So the category is your unit class codes. So if you know the unit class code you're searching for, you can search it quite easily here. Yeah, I think that's kind of a good overview of the platform there, Thomas.
No, thanks, John. I mean, this looks really great. And now connecting OpenSpace and Activeplan, I guess the next topic is George, I know you're working actively how you can enhance this system or bringing reality captures into this system. So if you wanna tell us a bit more or show us how that would work.
Yes, I'll do that now. So we've got the way in which that's all glued together. We've got Activeplan, we've got BIM 360, and now we've added OpenSpace into that collection. And the approach that we're taking with this, the Activeplan platform that John's just explained, we start with a set of machine-readable information requirements that sets out at the beginning exactly what it is that the asset team need. Those can then be tested against the products that are going to be used on the project so that we can make sure that they've got the right information. When it's integrated in with the BIM modeling tools, so that we've got the APIs into Revit, which then connects everything together so we know where things are. And that can then produce a digital O&M and the asset information model in any system. So part of the thing that John was just showing you there is that the whole thing is designed around COBie. So therefore we can then, which is the international standard for handover information, it means that it can read into any software application that the clients are using. The other part of the process is to make sure that we've got a record of what was actually installed. And the way in which that's done is the information is connected to the products. And when a product is proposed, perhaps by the designers, it then goes into a review process, and the technical submission is then recorded, which is the point at which the actual product is selected by the team, and that record then is then intrinsically connected into what then gets procured and then delivered and installed. So that's the workflow that we're operating now and have been doing with Rhatigans on. I think we've now got about 15 colleges and schools, and part of that process is just to keep that together. So if we look at how that's working, we're bringing together the information from models, from technical submittals, and from reality capture. So this is the way in which we've been doing it now for about 3 or 4 years with Sodexo. Often they don't have any information, so they've been using 360 cameras just on existing buildings for the last couple of years to do what they call digital asset capture, and it's saving them sending surveyors to site to carry out that work. And they're finding it's so productive. It's saving them 75% of the time that it would otherwise do to send people to site. And they can have subject matter experts like Gary here being able to go in and do this verification. They were telling me a couple of weeks ago that they managed to do 2,000 assets in a day. That was 3 people, but they probably do less than 100 in a day under normal circumstances. So it's amazingly productive. So in this case, the plant room, they've gone through and done the verification, and then these asset types that John was talking about earlier, those data keys, they can then connect back out into Sodexo's information management for the plan maintenance work. So this is also managed in Activeplan, but these are all the maintenance records from SFG 20, which again we integrate with. So this is telling the maintenance engineers exactly what work that they've got to do. So it's tying things together.
another example here is for firewalls and fire standing. Not everybody can read the schedules and drawings. So what we do, we extract the information into and produce an active plan where you can actually see here very clearly which walls are 30-minute, which walls are 60-minute walls, and which doors are protecting those, which assets are protecting those. And the safety engineers can also look at this from a point of view of doing risk assessments or condition surveys, again, remotely. So they're able to not have to visit the site. Somebody that can go and take the 360s, or they can have them as built from OpenSpace. But we've then tied this into the Uniclass definitions for risk. So this is informing the way safety management is being done. And then finally, this is a project that we've been a couple of years old now, but this was completed in the way that John was just showing you earlier, to deliver all the asset information for the client. But what we've now done, this is an as-built model with all the records, but we've now added in the OpenSpace information. So you can see here, this is testing against the information requirements. We've got documents in here, which you can, the team can then look at this manual for this boiler, and they can go through and identify which pages the key information's on. So rather than have to search through a 70-page document to find the right information, we're turning it into something a lot more intelligent, so that you can then jump to a space and see where, for example, the troubleshooting instructions are in that document. So what we're doing, we're connecting the information that's in the documents in the O&M or the safety file to the assets in the building. This is the product library.
Sorry, George, can you share that? Can you share a screenshot where you're showing like a 360 picture that you showed me previously?
Yeah, I'll be doing that in a moment.
Okay, sorry.
So,
yeah, good.
Yeah. So this is the product library. So what this is doing, it's showing the lighting that all the assets that the team has been building over the last over the period. So we've Rhatigans and ABM and lots of other companies now are putting information into this data library, product data library, and then that information can then be reused on subsequent projects. So when we show you what we've got in OpenSpace in a moment, you'll see that all these products, these assets that have been installed, they're already connected to the manufacturer's product details. We've then got the information about that particular space, so we can see what assets are in that space. And then when we go to the 360 view, we're able to see, we can then go and verify that those assets have actually been installed. And also we can then check against the 360s to see if there's information maybe above that ceiling that is needed by the FM team to be able to manage things. So this is really the sort of process that we've now got. And down, we've got the OpenSpace 360 there, and down on the right-hand side, you've got the list of the assets that the BIM model says were installed. So therefore, we can then verify against those, and each of those assets is then connected back to the maintenance information or the health and safety information.
Yeah, I love this. I love this picture or screenshot, because ultimately that's about connecting all the dots, you know, and you're bringing the final piece. I would say the 360, the real as-built record as well.
Exactly, and it's so simple. The thing that Sodexo really like about the 360s is that it's the actual evidence of not just what was installed, but it makes it so easy for them to keep things up to date going forward. one of the most important things that people perhaps don't realize is that there's the life of the building after the 2 years, say, that there's been involved in designing and building it. It's then got another 50 or 60 years, or maybe longer, to carry on. And there's constant changes going on in colleges and universities and hospitals. So what Sodexo do, they just go and they change the information, the asset information, they update the variations in the Activeplan database, but then they take a 360 of the finished space, and that is their evidence of that current situation. And by tying the things together, it means that we've got something that's sustainable and very low cost to keep up to date.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. Yeah, and when we started to show this, talk, and you showed this to me, that I was really blown away, because I'm talking to customer, and customers keep asking about the solution, how you can connect, the reality captures the real pictures to asset information, and here we are. That's what's happening. John, is there anything from your side to add?
Well, I would just say that the best thing about this approach really is the fact that we're linking all sorts of different softwares and things that are already in place. So it's no really additional work from a contractor's point of view. The BIM model's already been created, the OpenSpace capture's already been created, and we're already building on the Activeplan platform. So it's just a great way of combining all of those processes into one. So it's very, very powerful.
I think the other thing that we should mention as well is that we've been able to work it around the great systems and processes that Rhatigans are already operating. So, for example, they use Microsoft SharePoint for collecting the O&M documentation, because that's quite simple for people to be able to do. But when that information is then collected, we integrate that into Activeplan. So we pull the documents into the system, so it can be all connected to the asset information model and all the 360s. So it's a matter of really working this through. And when people talk about the golden thread, in many cases, people don't realize that there's dozens of software applications that clients will use to manage things going forward. And the whole point about the golden thread, people talk about it as being a single platform, but it's not. It's going to be many different platforms that are all talking together. And that's why this thing is so exciting that we're now doing with OpenSpace.
Yes, thanks, George. And actually, that's my thought as well. What we're seeing here, that these solution softwares are not working in silos. The key is that they can connect, integrate, be part of a proper tech stack. And, that's what the customer is looking for. Because I guess, John, from your perspective, is also important how many solutions you're using or how many softwares you have to train, to use, to have it on within your team. So I guess you're trying to simplify as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And these are all processes we already do, and it just combines the whole thing into a more powerful end product. So that's great.
Okay. No, it's great, guys. I think we're coming actually timing-wise to the point where we need to sort of wrap up slowly. Just a final question: is there anything we didn't cover today, but you think could be important to mention to our audience regarding golden thread or?
Yeah, I would say what's important is the quality of the information that is being collected. And we shouldn't worry too much about which software applications are being used to do that, because that will change. There's going to be innovation happening all the time. If you look at your mobile phone, nobody's got single applications on mobile phones. We've got lots of different tools, and that's exactly the way I think it will be going forward, both at the project end of things and also the asset management side of things. People will be coming up with new innovations for capturing information for example, fire door inspections, or being able to do risk assessments and things like that. So the important thing, I think, is to recognize the quality of the coordinated information that can then be consumed by many different systems. But as far as the client's concerned, they've got one way of getting to the information that they need. They don't need to bother about which software is using it. It's all interconnected in a big ecosystem.
Yeah, that's great. Amazing. Thank you. John, anything from you?
I don't know if there's anything that I haven't covered already.
Cool.
Trying to think. I'm not sure off the top of my head if there's anything else I didn't cover really.
No, that's great, guys. Thank you very much. Really appreciate John and George for sharing these insights and sharing your experience. I think we connected the dots at the end, all the systems together. And what's clear to me as a closing thought, that we see that the 360 reality captures like OpenSpace or platforms like ActivePlan can really make a significant difference to achieve and to comply to Golden Thread. So guys, thank you very much for your time and participation. We will close the webinar now and we will move back to a live Q&A session. So thank you very much. Stay with us and I will talk to you shortly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was the recording. Thank you for the attendees for the active participation. It was really nice to see some reactions. We actually have quite a few questions both in the chat and also in the Q&A box. So guys, we will cover that, pick this up. George, you can switch on your cameras back to your camera so we can see you as well. Okay, so let me start. I will start reading the chat, first the chat questions, points, and then we go to the Q&A box as well. And in the meantime, for the attendees, if you guys have any more questions, just feel free to put it in the box and I will keep going through on those. So the first one is, how is the product information added to ActivePlan? Do they feed in from a database somewhere or does the user input the details?
Yeah, sure, I can take that one. It's a bit of both, to be honest. So what I shown the component data that was in the platform is basically the COBie data that's took directly from the Revit model. So that would be your information that's relevant to this particular project only, like what space the item's in, who created the COBie, what was the installation date, stuff like that. That's going to be done for every single project. You're going to have to keep doing that each time. The product library then is what's built on a database. Now, someone has to create that the first time, and that's your information is going to be relevant to that particular project or product, I should say, for the foreseeable future, like what the manufacturer's name was, what's the model number, what's the warranty, so on. That's created once on a platform, and then we link that to the project. So so when it's created once, I could link that to 10 projects if I wanted to, and every project we can keep linking it to future projects. It can be edited, so if there's any further information needs to be added, we can add that later. But yeah, hopefully that answered the question. It's basically a bit of both anyway.
I'd like to contribute something to that as well,
please.
Thomas, if I may. Yeah, so we started the product library probably 8 years ago with the Building Research Establishment and the Construction Products Association. So the principal idea is that product manufacturers can put their information in themselves, and therefore that becomes available to everybody. But that's taken a lot longer to get off the ground than we'd hoped, largely because all product manufacturers hold their information in slightly different formats. And to a great extent, there's caution within product manufacturers about sharing their information. So what we've done is built the product library so we can take information either from manufacturers directly from their websites, if they wish that to be done, or we can also connect in with other product libraries. But the most pragmatic way of doing it, to be frank, is exactly the way Rhatigans are doing it, and Bouygues and some other contractors, where the product that's been selected for that particular project is put in once, and then it can be reused many times. And it's our ultimate goal to make it so that manufacturers take over responsibility for managing the product data in the libraries, but we can't wait for them.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. Next one, you referred to the use of COBie as an international standard for digital handover. What relevance do you ascribe to the IFC systemology?
Well, COBie is IFC. It's the model view definition of IFC for handover. So so what we're doing, COBie is basically the data schema, which allows us to organize the information in a way that has got the right attributes that are needed for asset management. So that's the methodology that we're using.
Okay, great, thank you. Could panelists please discuss the requirement for portability of golden thread, KPI regs? Completely agree with ecosystem points.
Well, certainly
if you could start this, yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, there's the golden thread really is about information being started with a specification and the performance, and then being validated through the process. So it connects with various different activities and information that is collected and created through the process. And so from that point of view, what we're doing is trying to use standardized classifications, standardized naming, and schemas, as we were just saying earlier, to be able to tie these things together so that any software application that's generating information should be doing so in a way that is then interoperable with the next person in the chain. Now, an important part of that is the way in which the individual firms are using their software, because most software applications allow you to set it up in whatever way suits you. And that's why adherence with the BIM requirements and validating against those is so important. And that's what Rhatigans have become very good at.
Okay, great. John, anything to add here?
No, I think George
explained
it there. Yeah.
I'm picking something, there's a lot of on the chat box, I'm picking something on Q&A. Have you had any use case where cameras have been attached to a mast climber to capture progress photo of external works on a high-rise building?
Yeah, we have done that before. Now, we haven't used OpenSpace cameras for that, but we have set a camera up on top of mast climbers before, where there was a requirement to give it like a timeline lapse at the end of the project. So essentially, we'd have set up a camera at the start when the project is literally just about to start, and it would record right up until the end, and then we would send a video at the end of the project. We've also used things like drones and stuff like that for the same purpose. And Tomas, you're aware, obviously, you can now bring in point cloud scans into OpenSpace. That's something we're working on. So we have done that with drones as well, where you can take a point cloud scan of the kind of the site, I suppose. Bring that in.
Yeah, we've been doing something on that as well, Thomas. So on high-rise buildings in offices, one of our customers is Tower 42 in the city. They've been doing this for 20 years actually, viewing and inspecting the cladding panels on the externals, and then recording any faults, and then recording whether they're getting worse or not. So that's something that we're doing, and there's a exercise going on at the moment to actually use photography to as part of that.
Yeah, and what I would say also in my experience, that's actually a use case for us. So we have several customers capturing the external of the buildings. They could use scaffolding, they could use mast climbers, they could use lift. And, that's a very typical application, checking the facade of the building envelope, checking from a fire safety perspective. Actually, a few months ago, we also had a webinar about that application. So yes, the answer is yes.
We should pick up on that then, shouldn't we?
Okay, so and I'm going back to the chat box now. How much additional cost does this add to a project? Is that vary based on size, complexity, and who pays?
I wouldn't have an exact figure of what cost it would add. Generally these things are dictated by the client and in the EIR, so the exchange information requirements. They will usually dictate if they want asset information in the model, and how much a data, and if they want a facilities management team, etc., etc. So I guess the softwares were shown as more of a solution to meet those end goals. Really, that's usually our use case for it anyway.
I would also say that what we're actually showing there, which is the coordination and integration of OpenSpace and ActivePlan, actually the outcome is not costing more money at all.
Exactly.
The reason for that is that Sodexo, Rhatigans are using ActivePlan to deliver against, as John's saying there, the information requirements, and they're using OpenSpace to coordinate all the quality from their side. And what we're doing really is bringing together two established tools that they've had their own business case. And what we're actually doing is adding, just by joining them together, it's you've got 2 and 2 making 5.
Yeah, and I would add one more thing from our perspective. In terms of who using OpenSpace, we have building owners, we have main contractors, we have trade contractors. So there could be different players at different level using that. The key point is what George saying, that this is a solution how you can bring this data and integrate with some other tools, making that whole process very, very slick and efficient. Okay, there are a few questions about recording. Yes, everyone will get the recording at the end. Thank you for asking. I have a few more questions to ask. Question for John: has reality capture assisted your supply chain?
Yes, it has. I suppose when we use reality capture, we use it for our own purposes, and it's only internal access to that. We wouldn't give access to it to our supply chain. But what you can do is you can share individual captures. So what we have done only recently in the last week or so on the project I just was demonstrating, we've shared a point-in-time capture for last week to assist with our M&E contractors, just picking up the last bits for their as-built models. So there was a good use case there where they instead of going out on site and marking up, because there wasn't any point cloud scan requirements on the project, they were able to use the OpenSpace capture on their screen, and it really quickened up the as-built models, which we got earlier in the week actually, and we confirmed them to be over the line now. So that was it sped up the process a lot, basically.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. Actually, we see OpenSpace as a collaboration platform. So, it contains unlimited users access capture.
Yeah.
And some customers choose to use that share selectively, as you guys do, John. Some customer open up maybe a bit broader as well. But it's truly a collaboration.
Yeah.
Few more questions left. Couldn't the asset identification be done much more quickly using AI?
Well, this is a holy grail that we've been working on for many years, and AI certainly has got big potential in this area, but it needs training material, so it needs to be trained to be able to recognize things, and also you need to have a very clear shot of things. So what we're actually doing in this process of doing the tagging at Sodexo, for example, have done over 10,000 360 photos, and they're tagging them. So that's providing, apart from the fact it's providing them with the asset information they need, it means that we can also capture the other information. So we're capturing what people were looking at when they saw something, and that provides training information. But I think for now, the productivity gain, because it's probably 7 to 8 times what it would cost a time that a surveyor going to site would be, that in itself is massively a massive improvement. So I think let's stick with real intelligence rather than artificial intelligence.
Yeah, if I may chip in, George, because we're using AI as well. We had a object recognition feature, a few years ago. we sort of stopped it for the time being because of the accuracy. And as you said, the data or the machines needs to be trained. And in this instance, you know, it's extremely important, the accuracy of recognizing those assets, but also I guess the location identification as well. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff is happening in the industry, a lot of stuff we're working on as we speak. But currently that feature is not available. But answering the question is for sure, you know, that will happen at some point.
And it'll be a matter of supporting the human doing the work. So if, for example, you're in a plant room or something like that, the AI can suggest to the person that's actually doing the anyway.
No, 100%. I fully agree with you. That is a big topic, maybe as a separate discussion as well. How much you can rely on AI. Okay, guys, and then literally 2 more questions left, or actually more questions. Just came another one. As an architect, what should be aware and concerned when contracting a FM to a client? George, maybe that's
yeah, sure. Sorry, could you repeat it?
As an architect, what should be aware and concerns when contracting a facility management to a client?
Well, passing the asset information to the FM, is that what we're asking? I'm sorry, I wasn't.
Yeah. Maybe that's how we read that. If you read that,
sure.
From that
well, I think it's exactly as John was saying earlier. We need clarity from the client as to what information they need. But then as far as the architect's concerned, making sure that the information is following that protocol. And then also making sure that the information, in many cases, architects will be passing information as documentation, as well as and therefore ensuring that the client has the, you know, for example, the performance specification and also the specification of the product. So yeah,
this very much leads to the next question. Could FM managers use this to record changes and asset replacement?
Oh, very much so, and that's very much what the FM contractors are using it for, because a 360 photo is a much quicker and easier way of recording that something has changed, and they can change the data itself in the database, and then without having to learn how to use models or modeling, they can make a change, and that becomes a valid record of maybe a variation or indeed a product replacement.
Okay.
So yes.
Thank you. Last questions, guys, so far, if nothing else coming in. What has the update from clients been regarding using a centralized system for submitting all handover documentation?
Yeah, it's been very positive. Just recently I was demoing to the client on the higher education bundle the system on Activeplan, and they were, to want of a better word, they were blown away by it. That was their words after it. Really impressed that everything was at their fingertips. As one of our guys said, it's almost impossible not to find stuff on the system because there's so many ways to search it. Like, if your safety file is up there, if your model's up there, all the COBie information, the safety file is linked to the model, you know, so there's about 4 or 5 different ways to search for the information. So extremely impressed from the client on this project anyway.
Okay, amazing. Oh, more questions coming. Have you thought about leveraging this data for better insurance and project finance outcomes?
Most certainly. And in fact, we're in conversation with insurers now about that, because actually insurance and professional indemnity insurance, for example, certainly on certain types of projects, becomes very difficult. Whereas if they've got much better information, then the insurance always comes down to the quality of information. So if you can ensure that you've got something where the information has been validated progressively, if we've got OpenSpace records of what was done, then that's something that could be dived into to reduce the risk, and reduce the risks has an impact on obviously insurance.
Yeah, and I would add as well that we partnered up in an insurance company in the US. They are using OpenSpace to verifying the buildings and the state of the construction. They actually offering lower rates to companies using OpenSpace, and we are having similar discussion with some players in the UK as well. So that question is highly relevant and very interesting.
Well, the other thing that's just occurred to me that I should say, John was talking about the product library earlier. We've now got a partnership with Lloyd's Register, and Lloyd's Register are now managing a product library with us, or they've got a copy of the product library, and what they're doing is using that to verify that the quality of information is right and it's coming from the manufacturer. It's right in. Now, that becomes very significant because it means that you're able to have verified product information, and you can then build on that the other data, like the declarations of performance and things that maybe are fire safety related. So that's one area. And the other one that we've not mentioned is environmental and carbon. So environmental product declarations, for example, are very the data sets. We can hold that data against the manufacturer's products, so that we've got a basis on which to create proper embodied carbon information.
Yeah. We're running out of time. Actually, we passed the 1 hour.
Sorry.
So no, that's amazing. I mean, the participation was phenomenal. We might have a reason to have another discussion or another session. We've got some nice compliments into the chat box. We also got some recommendation to check out some websites. We will do that. Thank you for all of you listening to us. We will send the recording to you within I'm not sure, within a few days, I assume. And John, George, really appreciate your contribution and your participation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's truly enjoyable. Thanks for everyone, and goodbye.
Okay, bye.
John.